Okay, today we're diving into a real gem of Indian literature, Sarojini Naidu's Indian Weavers. Now, on the surface, this poem looks super simple, right? But believe me, in just 3 little stanzas, she manages to weave together the entire tapestry of human life. It's incredible. So let's get into it.
So the poem kicks off with this line: "Weavers weaving at break of day. Why do you weave a garment so gay?" It's just a simple, direct question, right? But this question, it gets asked 3 times, and it's the thread that literally pulls us through the entire journey of life, all the way from birth to death. Now, the mind behind this poem is the one and only Sarojini Naidu. You might know her as the Nightingale of India, and for good reason. Her poetry is just so beautiful and musical. And what she does here is just, well, it's genius. She takes this everyday act, weaving, and turns it into this massive, profound metaphor for life itself. So here's what's so clever about how this whole poem is put together. It follows these weavers through just one single day. But that one day, it's actually a stand-in for the entire journey of a human life. We go from morning to night, and each part of the day perfectly mirrors a different stage of our existence. It's such a brilliant way to connect our lives to the simple, natural rhythm of a day. So here's the basic roadmap for how this all works. You've got dawn, which is all about birth. Then midday, that's our adulthood. And finally, night. Well, that represents death. Simple, right? But so powerful. Okay, let's dive in and look at each of these stages up close. All right, first up, the blue robe of birth. Our journey kicks off right at the break of day. And this whole first part of the poem is it's buzzing with energy and hope. It really captures that feeling of a new life that's just getting started. So let's really break this down. The time? It's the morning, the break of day, totally signals a new beginning. The color? It's this bright, happy blue. The poem calls it gay, which back then just meant cheerful and full of life. It all points to one thing: birth or childhood. The whole vibe is just so hopeful and upbeat. And think about that image for a second. A bright blue cloth, like the wing of a wild bird. That's not just about the color, is it? No way. It's about freedom, it's about pure energy, that feeling of limitless potential you have in childhood. It's like a life that's literally just taking flight. So perfect. Okay, so the sun gets higher in the sky and life moves on. We're now moving into midday, which brings us to the veil of adulthood. This is where things get really vibrant and ceremonial, representing our prime years. And you can see this shift right away in the colors. We've moved from that simple blue to rich purple and green. I mean, those are colors of royalty, right? Of celebration and richness. And what are the weavers making? A marriage veil for a queen. It's a dead giveaway that we've hit adulthood, that time for love, for partnership, for all those big life events. But this stage isn't just about one big party. It's also about taking on new roles, new responsibilities. That marriage veil, it's such a perfect symbol for the really deep, meaningful connections we start to build when life is at its most passionate and vibrant. Now hold on, before we get to the last part, just look at this shift in tone. We're going from something so vibrant and royal and festive to something solemn and chill and serene. It's like the whole temperature of the poem drops. This is Naidu just masterfully getting us ready for that final stage. And so we arrive at night. This is the shroud of farewell. Everything gets quiet now, much more contemplative. We're exploring the end of the journey, and it's done with this really solemn, peaceful kind of grace. The symbols here are just so stark and so powerful. The time, it's night with that cold moonlight. The color, it's white, and not just any white. It's compared to a feather and a cloud, which gives it this feeling of lightness and peace. And the garment they're weaving, it's a funeral shroud. Yeah, the party's over. The tone is completely solemn now, but also really serene. You know what's so profound about this, though? It's the way death is portrayed. There's no fear here, no struggle. Instead, you get this imagery of a white cloth, soft as a feather, still as a cloud. It suggests purity, peace, and just this quiet acceptance that this is the final, inevitable transition. Okay, so we followed the story from beginning to end. But how does Sarojini Naidu create such a powerful effect in so few words? Well, that's where her poetic craft comes in. Let's take a look at the tools she's using. Naidu's poetic toolbox here is just so elegant, but man, is it effective. She's got this rich visual imagery. I mean, you can see the purple and green of that veil.
She uses powerful metaphors like comparing the cloth to a bird's wing. And the whole thing has this simple musical ABB rhyme scheme that just makes it so easy to read. And that repeated question, what do you weave? It gives the poem this steady, constant rhythm, almost like the sound of a shuttle going back and forth on a loom.
But really, out of all those tools, symbolism is the big one. It's the absolute heart of this poem. Every single color, every time of day, every piece of cloth they make, it's all packed with a deeper meaning. And it's that layering of symbols that takes what is, a pretty simple scene of people working and turns it into this deep meditation on life.
So, when you step back and look at the whole tapestry, what's the big message? What are we really supposed to take away from this journey, from dawn to dusk, this life's unbroken thread?
At its core, the message is really one of acceptance and appreciation. The poem shows us that life is this continuous, natural cycle. It just keeps going. And every single stage, from that hopeful blue of childhood to the solemn white of death, each one has its own purpose, its own kind of beauty. It's almost like it's telling us to look for the profound meaning in our everyday lives. And in the end, it all comes back to the weavers. They're the key. They aren't just workers doing a job. No, they're more like creators. They are symbolically weaving the very fabric of human destiny. It's amazing. They're connecting their simple, daily work to these huge, eternal truths about what it means to be alive. And that kind of leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? If a simple act like weaving can hold the entire human experience, then what about our own lives? What kind of profound beauty can we find woven into the threads of our ordinary days? Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for listening.